Go ahead. Ain't nobody in here. You don't know. They waiting for you. Go. Say. Welcome to Tuesday Talks, episode 41. You want to say something to the people? Go ahead. Welcome. Inside. On the shore. Suddenly, I know you remember that song. Hello. Life has yeah. Oh, I don't know who's with us, but welcome. I pray everyone has had a good week thus far. And are you gonna sing or are you not gonna sing? First one, probably. Oh goodness. If you're gonna sing, you can do this little discussion as well. You are so. I ain't fooling with you. No. So I'll give people a little bit of time to get on, and then we'll start having our discussion. I am happy and blessed to be on here right now because I have not been feeling well. You're so stupid. But sorry, we have people doing strange dances. Oh, goodness. That is not becoming. Not at all. It is not becoming. Here, take a seat. Come on. Something is wrong. But yeah, so I have been feeling ill with my allergies, fairly ill. What was it? Sunday? I woke up, it felt like there was like an elephant on my head. I mean, it was just, it had to have been a migraine. I may have experienced a migraine once or twice before in my life. I don't really get headaches, but that has to be what it was on Sunday because I wanted to vomit. Like it was hurting that bad. Hey, Sherry. And then, so I went back to sleep. I got up early Sunday. I was going to try and get up and film and do all that stuff. And then that headache hit me and I was like, I can't do anything. So I got back in the bed and I didn't get up till like after 3 o'clock, I think it was. And I was still hurting a little bit then and more so dizzy. How are you doing, Sherry? I missed your live where you were doing your nails. Was that Sunday? That might have been when I was knocked out. But I have to go back and watch it. I was like, how did I miss this? Probably when you were asleep. But I'm going to have a discussion today. What do you know that you sent me? Page response. No, I have to refresh it. Yeah, I'm going to have a discussion today about the Sabbath. Trying to pull up my email here. It's not wanting to refresh. Hello, Miss Sarah. How are you? I'm well. Sounds like your brother is cutting up back there. It's the little one this time, not even the big one. It's the little one cutting up, the one that don't want to be on camera. I'm gonna get him one of these days. I'm gonna get him. But yeah, the older one, the one that loves to really cut up, it's his birthday today, so he's probably somewhere celebrating. I need to see. Is that it? That might be him. I don't know when he wants to go celebrate or what he wants to do. So we gotta find out. Yeah. Okay, sing the song if you want to sing the song. Do you want to sing the song? Sing it. Do you want me to sing it with you? You are so crazy. Anyways. Oh, there's wait. Just a bit. Why did he send me another chat? Okay. I have a lot of email today. Like, what in the world? I thought I was just gonna find a couple of things in my email. Well, there's a ton of stuff. Okay. I think I know what it is. I didn't check email yesterday because I was sick. So yeah, like I said, I was sick Sunday, massive headache, felt like vomiting, went back to sleep, didn't get up till after 3, which was a bummer because I'm like, now it's really late and I'm gonna be up late now doing everything that I need to do. And because I'd slept all day Sunday, I was up all night Sunday night. So I literally probably got to sleep about 3:30 Monday morning, early Monday morning, and I had to get up at 6. So I only had about 2.5 hours of sleep. And so yesterday at work, I started getting my vertigo. It kicked in. Excuse me. And I only have a couple of pills left. So I was like, oh, Lord, what am I going to do? And I know that it makes me very drowsy. So I had to wait till lunchtime to take the medicine because I'm like, if I take it too early, I'm not going to make it through the rest of the day. So I took it around lunch. It didn't really start making me drowsy until I got home, which was good. Hey, Raz. And, but once it hit me last night, I was fighting because I knew I had a Skype tutoring session. And so I'm just like knocked out. And I have a reminder that reminds me like an hour before the Skype session, but I kept hitting snooze. And I was like, you can't snooze anymore because you're not going to wake up. And so I didn't snooze anymore, but I still fell asleep. So I was like, I woke up right in time to get on for the Skype session. And once that was over, I was like ready to crash. I didn't even eat dinner last night. I ate like half a pack of crackers. And I don't even mean like a big pack. See these little packs? I ate about half of that for dinner last night. Drank some water and I was out. And then so this morning I was still like so exhausted. And when I woke up this morning, this eye was completely like crusted. And then this eye had like thick mucus attaching the two lids together. It was just so disgusting. And then I had to keep cleaning this eye out today from my allergies, tired still from my medication. I was a little dizzy later in the day. And I fought all day today. I fought all day to stay awake. And I was like, Lord, how am I going to teach anything like this? But I made it through. I don't know. I made it through. Thank you, Jesus. I made it through because it was trying. And then we had a meeting after work, and I was like, Lord, let me stay awake through the meeting. Let me stay awake to get home. And then I came home and I didn't really take a nap per se. I just kind of closed my eyes a little bit because when you have the vertigo, it just feels better to just close your eyes. So I just sat there and closed my eyes a little bit. But I had to make sure I didn't miss you guys this evening. So yeah, I had to make sure of that. But that's how the last few days have been for me. Last night I wanted to do more filming and I couldn't. Like it took everything in me to do the filming that I did Sunday. Because normally I will try to film either Saturday night and get most of my filming done, or I will do it like early Sunday morning. But because I could not do anything Sunday morning, it was probably like after 5, 6 o'clock. Yes, laying down, definitely. So it was like 5, 6 o'clock in the evening on Sunday when I actually started filming, and then I still had to do my lesson plans. And then my godson was still here with me because he had to come over for the weekend. And I was like, oh Lord, I gotta still take him home. So I didn't get him home till like 8 o'clock Sunday night. Yeah, and then I had to come home, enter my lesson plans. That took like another hour or more. And then I don't even know if I ate Sunday night either. I don't think I did. No, I didn't eat Sunday night. And then last night I had half a pack of the crackers and like some Raisin Bran. That was it. So, and then I should have ate a big breakfast this morning, but I had duty this morning, so I had to grab something that was like quick and easy to eat because I'm not a fast eater, like at all. I eat very slow. And so I just grabbed a muffin this morning because I was like, I just need something that I can eat really quick. And then the funny thing is, even when I grab muffins, I barely even get to finish my breakfast throughout the day. So it's crazy. I hardly ever get to finish my breakfast. So I don't even know what I'm eating for dinner. I did eat a healthy lunch. I mean, I won't say healthy as in good food, healthy eating, but just like ample amount of food to make up for the lack of food I've had the last few days. But I don't know what I'm eating for dinner. And I need to go grocery shopping. I literally went to the grocery store Sunday, but because I was still so disoriented from the headache and the dizziness, and I didn't even buy anything. Like, what did I go to the store for? I didn't buy anything because I couldn't even focus enough on what it was I needed to buy. So I didn't buy anything. No, I didn't buy anything. I was about to say I bought water. Nope, I bought water on Friday because I like to drink those hint flavored waters, but that was it. I bought that on Friday. And then I let my godson take my leftover pizza. I would have had something to eat. I let him take that home with him. So I have stuff, but I don't like to cook. So that's where I'm at right now with everything. But yeah, it's been a crazy few days with illness, and I'm just hoping that I'll feel better tomorrow. And the problem is because I don't really go to bed early. Some people say, oh, they'll tell me, take your allergy pill and that way it'll kick in and then you'll sleep good. But if I take it right before I go to sleep, then it's not going to kick in until the next morning. And if I take it way before I go to sleep, then I may not get some things done that I need to get done like that evening. So it's just, You just never know. You just never know. So I'm hoping you guys have been feeling well because I have not. Um, and cedar season hasn't even hit us yet. So I don't even know what's going to happen to me once cedar season hits. I don't know. I better start stocking up, and I might want to start taking my pill regularly. I don't know. I just hate that it makes me drowsy, but I might want to have to take it regularly before the cedar season hits. But yeah. So, anyways, the topic today was remember the Sabbath. So I usually have a lot of people that will ask me, well, why do you go to church on Saturday and things like that. So have I always been a Saturday worshiper? No. So hey there, how are you? Larissa, right? Larissa. Um, so I haven't always been a Sabbath keeper. I grew up in the Baptist church. I grew up a Baptist, and I remember the last Baptist church that I attended. My younger brother and I, we were just kind of like yearning for more, I guess, searching for more as far as the word was concerned. And we kind of stopped going to the Baptist church. And then we gotten this flyer in the mail, and it was going to be a revival at this Adventist church, and they had the golden image that Nebuchadnezzar had built. They had that like on their flyer, and we were fascinated because we had just started, studying about all of that, reading about all of that with the book of Daniel and everything, and just really analyzing and breaking that all down. And so we were so excited to go to this revival and learn more about it. And throughout the days that we went to the revival, you've been sick, Larissa? Oh no. I've been sick too. Um, yeah. I hope praying for healing, whatever it may be, because we need to function. We can't be sick. But during that revival, they talked about the Sabbath. Okay. Now I'm not a person to just mainly take people's word for anything. So during that revival, they actually showed us the documentation about from the Bible about the biblical Sabbath, how it was formed at creation, how it's the only commandment that says to remember, um, because God knew that people would forget. Um, and then they also showed us some other writings. And so I'm going to share some links with you ladies today. Let me go back to my email. So there's a site called prophesyagain.org. Let me write that first. Prophesyagain.org. That's the site. And then here is one of the articles they have recently put up. So I don't know if any of you have, but there's a lot of talk right now about, we need all of these tragedies, and all of this is happening in the world because we're not giving God time, and they're trying to get people to get back to worshiping on Sunday and wanting to. Some countries and stuff around the world have already put in order a Sunday law, and so the thing is, Christians are going to get excited about this because they're like, "Yay!" But I think if people really understood the background of it all, then they would understand why it's being pushed. Um, so this one article says Sunday rest and Sunday blue laws began with Emperor Constantine, not Jesus Christ. So during the revival that I had gone to, they talked about how, you know, people believe that Sunday worship came about because Jesus was resurrected on Sunday, right? And that's what a lot of pastors would tell you. All right. And so after we went to this revival and we studied and everything, we studied and we studied and we studied. We looked at all kinds of stuff from the Bible, all kind of documentation and related to this article here. And we went back. My mom, we talked over the information with our mom as well. And she went and she asked the pastor that we had at the time at the Baptist church. She was like, is it true that the day of worship is on Saturday and that it was never changed by God or Jesus? And he had to confirm that, yes, that is true. So a lot of pastors know this, even Sunday pastors know this. Some will not tell their congregations because they don't want to lose their membership. But yeah, we're going to get, yes, I'm going to my shot. That's my appointment because I was sick. Yeah, I've never had that flu shot and I've never had the flu, like ever. So during that revival, they showed us in the writings from the Catholic Church, where they state themselves in their own writing that the change in worship was made by Constantine and that it's not biblical that worship is on Sunday. So then people will say, well, why did Jesus resurrect on Sunday? So when you go back to creation, the Sabbath day was the seventh day, right? Which Sunday is the first day of the week. So that means that Sabbath day would be Saturday. Even in Spanish, Saturday is sábado, Sabbath. And so, like I said, people will be like, well, why did Jesus resurrect on Sunday morning? Well, in death, we know that Jesus has power to resurrect himself whenever he pleases. But even in death, he still observed the Sabbath. Okay? He still did not resurrect himself on Sabbath day. He waited till the Sabbath day was over and then resurrected himself on Sunday morning. But that is not when the change from Sabbath worship to Sunday worship occurred. Even when you go into the New Testament, you will see them still talk about keeping the Sabbath. So I'm going to read it to you directly from the Catholic writings. So this is from the Catholic writings. Hold on, let me see. Wait a minute, what happened? All right, it says, if we consulted the Bible only, I think it's funny that Google does not want to let me read this. That's nothing but the devil. If we consulted the Bible only, we should still have to keep only the Sabbath day holy. Okay? And that is Saturday with the Jews instead of Sunday. Sunday is a Catholic institution and can be defended only on Catholic principles. From beginning to end of Scripture, there is not a single passage that warrants the transfer of weekly public worship from the last day of the week to the first. And this is in the Catholic press, and this is from August the 25th, 1900. And then they also say it is well to remind the Presbyterians, Baptists, Methodists, and all other Christians that the Bible does not support them anywhere in their observance of Sunday. Sunday is an institution of the Roman Catholic Church, and those who observe the day observe a commandment of the Catholic Church. And this was in an article published in 1903. And when they speak about why they changed it, they say because they are above the law, and that is why they are able to change worship from Sabbath to Sunday. So I go through the revival, they talk about it, I listen, but when I read it for myself in the Catholic writings, why would I question it anymore? They are blatantly telling you themselves they changed the day of worship through Constantine, was never biblically changed, and it is a Catholic observance. And so that's how Sunday worship came into play. Um, it also says here, hold on. It says Protestants accept Sunday rather than Saturday as a day for public worship after the Catholic Church made the change. But the Protestant mind does not seem to realize that in observing Sunday, they are accepting the authority of the spokesman for the church, the Pope. And this is from another one of their writings from 1950. It says Sunday is the mark of the authority. The church is above the Bible. That is what they're saying. That the Catholic Church is above the Bible and they have the right to change the day of worship. Now, the Bible tells us man will think to change days and times and things like that. That's in the Bible. That's what their laws and times, and that's in the Bible. And that's one of the things that they're referring to when you read that scripture. And so I could send y'all another link and I'll try to link it in the description, but it provides you several different quotes from several different Catholic articles in their own writings where they profess to have been the initiators and the pretty much the creators of Sunday worship. So when I got all of that confirmation and read all of these things for myself, that is what convicted me that I needed to be still holding to the true biblical Sabbath. And so, and then, like I said, our former pastor, our former Baptist pastor, my mom went to him and she asked him point blank, is this the truth? And he said, yes. And then I remember talking with another Baptist pastor before, and he was saying that, yeah, a lot of pastors know this, but they don't want to lose their congregations to it. They don't want their members to go to another church. I said, well, they can just convert their church to a Sabbath keeping church. I don't understand that. But yeah, that's one reason why a lot of pastors do not inform, or they'll just say, oh, we can worship Jesus every day. There was only one day that he made holy and sanctified in creation, and that was the seventh day. So it wasn't that, it's not that you can't worship every day. That's not what it is. But there was a certain day that was set aside for that. And in the scriptures, you will find Jesus was in the temples, preaching on Sabbath. That's what he was doing, but I always tell people, you don't have to take my word. You don't have to take my experience, because I will show you in the writings, because that's what it took to convict me. It took seeing it for myself in the writings. And I was like, oh, wow. But what really disturbed me was when they state that they are above the law, so they can do this. So now what they're going to eventually start doing is forcing people to worship on Sunday. A lot of Christian people are going to see that as a good thing. But what I want people to consider is God does not force us to worship him. God would never force us to do that. We have free will. We can choose to worship him or we could choose not to worship him. So any kind of forced religion is not of God. God does not force religion on people. Okay. Excuse me. There are some countries that do that and they persecute people who don't. So imagine what's going to follow if that, when that is forced upon us and if we don't um, obey that law, persecution will come. Um, and the reason I felt the need to talk about some of these things is because time is winding down and it's getting really close to when this is going to happen worldwide. I mean, it's already happening in some countries. And like I said, people that are Christians, they think it's great. Like, this is a great thing. Jesus, God, they don't force worship on us. No worship is to be forced. You have free will. And that's why I think it's important for people to really know where Sunday worship comes from at this point. Because when you are being forced to do Sunday worship, you're being forced to obey the law of man, not the law of God. So I know it's heavy stuff, but it's something that I had to wrestle with myself. And Sunday worship actually comes from people worshiping the Son, not the Son, S-O-N, Jesus Christ, but the Son, S-U-N. That is not of God. Sun worship and worshiping other idols and things like those types of worship are not of God. And that's where Sunday worship comes from. That's where we even get the December 25th as Christmas Day, because of people worshiping with the winter solstice. We don't know exactly when Jesus was born, but they relate it to the winter solstice. Um, it For everything that God has, the devil has his counterfeit. The Lord gave us the Sabbath worship. The devil has his counterfeit. Sunday worship, like I said, number one, it's a law of man. The Catholics have stated it. They will not deny it. They felt that they were above the law to push that forward, and they did, and we followed. You know, we followed. And then it is also based upon sun worship as well. So when I got a hold of all this information, it was a lot. It was a lot, because I'm like, oh my gosh, all these years I have been worshiping on Sunday. And it was really hard for my mother, who of course was older and had been, in the church, and she was a little bitty girl. And it was hard for her. She really wrestled with it. She and my aunt did not immediately come over to the Adventist church with me and my brother right away. But they eventually did. They finally came and started coming to that revival that we went to. And they questioned a lot. They had a lot of questions during the revival, and the pastors answered all their questions, showed them everything in scripture, showed them everything in the Catholic writings. And they were convicted. And it's a touchy subject because the Catholic Church and the Pope has so much authority in this world. When the Pope is still a man. Okay. I just need people to understand that. All of our pastors, all of our priests, all of these people are still men and women. They are not the one true living God. You know what I mean? And we need to make sure that we're careful that we are following God's law and not man's law. And so once I got all that information, I was like, oh no, that's all I needed. Like I said, was for me to see it in their own writings. And I was convicted. Let me see. I'm going to share some more links with you guys. I know, like I said, it's a lot to take in, but definitely read it for yourself. That's the only thing I could tell you. That's the best thing I could tell you is to read and study it for yourself. Did that one send? And there's one more link I'm going to share with you guys. And then I'll try to add all of these in the description box as well. These are discussions that I've been wanting to have like on the Google Hangouts, but I really need Kate because I don't know how to do that Google Hangouts by myself. But yeah, hopefully I didn't repeat any of those links. Let's see. You might have mentioned it, but what is the difference between Adventists and Baptists? Oh, okay. So there's a lot of similarities, okay? With Adventism, they have Sabbath worship, although there are some Baptist people that do Sabbath worship, you know? But we're waiting for the advent of Christ again, and we still hold to that biblical Sabbath. Most Adventists are very straightforward with the Bible. Okay, a lot of churches these days, they've kind of pushed the Old Testament out, and a lot of pastors will tell people that, oh, the law was nailed to the cross. It's so misleading, because if the law was nailed to the cross, then we shouldn't get mad when people commit adultery, when people are coveting, when people are murdering, when people, then if the law was nailed to the cross, we should not be upset about those kinds of things. The law was not nailed to the cross. There should be a change in our lifestyles when we decide to become Christians and give ourselves to Christ. Yeah, Sunday worship came about as part of sun worship. It sure did. And sun worship, that's like, we're not supposed to worship the sun and the moon and star. We're supposed to give our worship to God, and that's partly of how that came about. But like I said, some Baptists will keep the Sabbath, but not most. But when you look at creation, and you look at, it says in the evening and the morning, and it was good, right? So Sabbath worship for Adventists is sundown Friday to sundown Saturday. So you'll notice that, like, even with Tamara, she's Adventist too, Tamara from the Paper and Pen Girl, we dedicate that time for worship. Now, when I first became an Adventist, Sabbath worship was it felt like a burden at first, because I'm like, man, I can't do this. It's really a 24-hour period where you're really wanting to focus on God and worship only, right? You try to refrain from the everyday things of life, like cooking and cleaning and going to work. So a lot of Adventists have a hard time with their jobs because they don't want to give you off on Saturday. I just happened to get into teaching, so it worked for me. I don't, sometimes there's trainings on Saturdays, or there's training, Saturday school, things like that. And I have to tell them I can't do it, because of my faith. And a lot of Adventist pastors will write letters to people's employers because they have to respect your faith. And so there's no cooking, there's no cleaning, there's no working. You just try to focus that whole 24 hours. You need to focus that whole 24 hours on God. So for me at first, it was like a burden, because all I did was look at it as, I can't do this, I can't do that, I can't do this, I can't do that. But then I started to look at it differently. I was like, wait a minute. I had a hell of a week. I can't wait until the Sabbath and just enjoy Sabbath rest and Sabbath peace and not have to worry about doing this and doing that. And then it became a joy. Then you get this Sabbath joy, and you're like, yes, I can't wait for the Sabbath to come. I don't have to do this. I don't have to do that. And it became a blessing and a joy after I really started to embrace it, and you just spend that time with God. And do I adhere to the Sabbath as well as I should? No. We all will make mistakes here and there. And that's something to think about too, even as a people that strictly believe that Sunday is the day of worship. The Bible says to keep the Sabbath holy. Are we keeping Sunday holy? Are we giving Sunday totally to worship? We really don't. And there's something I've noticed since I've been an Adventist and I've been a Sabbath keeper. Let me tell you how the devil works. All the best sales are usually on Saturday. I ain't gonna lie to you. They will have the best sale. Oh, they will have Saturday only sales. I started noticing this kind of stuff. And I'm like, wow. Or the different events or concerts or musicals or whatever what mainly happen on the Sabbath. And I'm like, man, I can't go. It's the Sabbath. You know what I mean? And so it's like, look at how the devil works and puts little things out there to entice you to forget the Sabbath when that's the only commandment that says remember. It's the only one that says remember. So I started to take joy in the Sabbath. Like, yes, I can't wait for sundown to come on Friday, so I don't have to do anything. I can just rest in the Lord. I can go worship, what have you. Now, it has been a struggle because we had stopped going to our last church, but that didn't keep us from not wanting to remember the Sabbath. We try to still worship here at home. That site, the prophecyagain.org, they do a live on Sabbath. My brother watches it a lot. I've watched it a few times with him. But before we actually had found the church, because we kind of started observing the Sabbath a little bit before we went to the revival. That revival just confirmed everything for us. And so we would just have worship service at home. Once we stopped going to church, we just have worship service at home. And I think I've told you guys before, one of the ladies I used to go to church with, she has a worship service once a month at her house, and I go to that. And then when we would go to church regularly, we would go to church on Saturday morning. A lot of times on Saturday afternoon, we would maybe go out and minister to people in the afternoons or things like that. They try to do things in the Adventist churches so that, especially as far as the youth and the children are concerned, so that they are not tempted to want to go do other things. So they try to have a lot of activities for them after church on Sabbath. They have a service they call AY, which is Adventist Youth. So they would have different topics that they would discuss. They would do different games and songs and things like that. Just so it keeps their mind on Christ and on God throughout that 24 hours. And I had to think about it too. I was like, why? When I first started keeping the Sabbath, like I said, it felt like a burden for me. And I was like, why am I acting stupid about giving God 24 hours? He gives me every second of every day throughout the entire week. He is keeping me, protecting me throughout the entire week. And I can't give him 24 hours. And I had to start looking at it like that, because I'm like, this is ridiculous that you keep looking at this as if it's such a burden, and I'm like, no. And then I'm telling you, once the devil sees that you're going to do what God wants you to do, he will start testing you. Okay? He will start trying you. And as soon as I was convicted and I became an Adventist and I decided to do Sabbath worship, everything that could go wrong would start to go wrong because the devil was angry. Do you hear me? He was angry. And so by the time I got through having to deal with the devil all week, I was ready for some Sabbath rest. Work? What? Nope. I don't want to talk about work. I don't want to think about work. I want to sit and be with God and just have some peace, if for nothing but for these 24 hours. Like I said, it's from sundown to sundown. So in the summers, it gets crazy because it seems like Sabbath is longer because the different times of year it's going to change. The sundown changes constantly throughout the year. And so those are things that Adventist people or Sabbath keepers have to think about. And a lot of people want to say, well, the Sabbath day is for the Jews. No, it wasn't. Sabbath day was brought on in creation, just like marriage was brought about in creation with Adam and Eve. So, hey, Naive, this wasn't something that was made for the Jews. Sabbath was made for man, not man for the Sabbath. Um, and if you look throughout the Bible, you will see Jesus, the disciples, when are they preaching? Sabbath. Like Friday is what they call preparation day. And you even hear them mention that when they talk about Jesus' death, that it was Friday was preparation day, and so what oh, all right, bye Larissa. So what a lot of people will do is use Thursday, really. Some people try to use Thursday to get themselves prepared. People try to have their meals and everything prepared for the Sabbath so they're not having to do any labor. Because if you read it, it tells you not to do any labor, you or your manservant or your maidservant. So we have this lady that cuts our grass, and we've constantly tried to tell her, do not come cut the grass on Sabbath. You need to come on Sunday or some other day of the week because you're not our servant per se, but you're providing a service to us. We're not going to have you working on the Sabbath either. We're not working on the Sabbath. We're not going to have anybody come here and work on the Sabbath. Now, God forbid if something major happens and there's an issue with the lights or there's flooding. We're not going to just sit here in the dark and let the house flood. It is lawful to do good on the Sabbath. We would have to have those things taken care of, but you try to have everything prepared so that you're not cooking or anything. We've kind of gotten away from that. I'm not gonna lie, but we were really good at it at one point. We knew what we were gonna have for Sabbath breakfast and for Sabbath lunch, and all of it was ready and prepared, and we didn't have to worry about it. And I want to get back to that, I do. I want to get back to being more diligent about how I do things on the Sabbath. But yeah, so I get the question a lot of time, well, why do you worship on Saturday? Why do you worship on Saturday? And I'll never forget one time on one of the schools I taught at, one of the teachers was mad because I said I couldn't come to some training. And at the time I was selling Mary Kay, and she was like, well, you'll go to your Mary Kay event. I said, to tell you the truth, no, I don't. I don't even schedule Mary Kay skincare classes or parties on the Sabbath. I had to leave her standing there looking real stupid because she just knew. I guess she just thought I was lying. I don't know what it was, but I'm like, no. Um, yeah. But then Raz, you had asked too about the difference. We also Adventists follow the three angels message. So if anyone ever wants to do like a study on that, that is some powerful stuff. It takes you a lot through Daniel, Revelation. And that's the problem, I think, with a lot of churches today. If you're not preaching from Daniel and Revelations, you're not preparing your people for the end days. You're just not preparing them because those scriptures need to be thoroughly, thoroughly analyzed. But yeah. And then we talk about the heavenly sanctuary as well. We have in the Adventist faith, it is called the Messiah's Mansion. And I don't know if they still tour, but they would tour, and it's a living, like a life-size replica of the biblical sanctuary that um, they built back in the Old Testament. If you ever get the opportunity to tour the Messiah's Mansion, you must do so. It is, I don't even know how to describe it. It is a very powerful awakening experience. They take you through the outer court, and then they take you through the, the oh God, my mind just went blank. They take you inside the sanctuary, and then they take you in the most holy temple, and they talk about all of it. They describe it in great detail. I have photos from where it toured here in Texas. They had it at our camp meeting. So all of our conferences do like a camp meeting every year. And so I first got to experience it at our camp meeting. And then the church I was attending, we were blessed. They wanted to bring it to San Antonio, and we were the only Adventist church in San Antonio that had enough land for them to bring it. That church has a big field in the back. And it was just such an awesome experience to be a part of, helping them set everything up and helping people go through the tours. It was just amazing. So people all over San Antonio, Adventists, non-Adventists, came to the church to experience that Messiah's Mansion. And it was it's a blessing. If you ever get an opportunity, you have to experience that. If you've never studied the sanctuary, study it. It will move you. It will convict you. It's a powerful thing. And that's stuff that people just don't talk about anymore. A lot of people have tossed the Old Testament to the side. They've tossed Revelations to the side, and they don't really talk about it. Sorry, just getting us chances. Hey, Deidre. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I definitely want to continue to have this conversation with you guys. But yeah, and I'm telling y'all, the devil was busy even when I got ready to start talking about this, right? I was trying to pull up a link on my phone with all of those quotes from the Catholic writings. And I kid you not, you know how you've ever pulled up a link on the internet and it starts taking you to a whole different site and all this other pop-up stuff? That's what started happening. It happened 3 times before I got the link to work. The devil was not happy that I was about to discuss this with you all today. He was not happy because I'm like, wait a minute, what is this? You win, and like all kind of crap started popping up on my phone when I'm trying to go to the link. He was not happy. And like I said, the reason I wanted to bring this to you guys, because that Sunday law is coming. And I feel that people need to be aware of what Sunday worship is even about. But I think there's a way to look at the Messiah's Mansion. I know my brother had did like a little video, put a video together when we were bringing it to our church. I don't even know, that should probably still be on YouTube somewhere. I don't know. But I'm going to find a link. Let me see. And I'm going to post that link in the description after this so that y'all can go check that out too. I mean, I don't know, like I said, if they still do that tour. It's a lot of work and they need a lot of volunteers when they do it. And like we had to make sure that we had like people that were going to be there. We were required to like help feed the people that were working. And just provide them some assistance, because there's a lot that they put up. There's like, I want to say 4 or 5 different sections that they put up. And it's like you go from one section to the next. And they talk about, oh my God, y'all, whew, it's a wonderful experience, just wonderful. But it's a lot of work for them to put it all together. But they literally did exact measurements from the Bible. All of those measurements were converted, and it is a life-size replica of exactly what that sanctuary was. And it just shows you the power of God and how amazing God is, to think that he would give the people what they needed to build that, it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. So I'm definitely going to add a couple of more links in the description when we're done here. And let me know if you guys would like to have a talk about the three angels message and the sanctuary. Like I said, those are two things that are very distinctive to the Adventist faith. I'd be happy to discuss those things with you guys. That way you have a better insight of it. But I'm going to add a link about that Messiah's mansion as well. Y'all, when I tell y'all, it's everything is exactly the way it was in the Bible. It amazes me how they were able to recreate it all. And it's just like amazing. To the laver where they wash, to the candlestick, to the showbread, it's all there. It is all there. The veil. And then when they talk about how the people would come and bring their sacrifices and how the blood would be put on the veil. Oh, and then they talk about the Day of Atonement. I mean, it's a beautiful thing. So don't discard your Old Testament. Too many churches are doing it, and it is keeping people from some very necessary information, some very necessary truths, some soul sanctifying stuff that they need. But I just want to thank y'all for being here during this discussion, because I know it's deep, and I know it's like, if you've been a Sunday worshiper all your life, that's hard. And what's even harder for people that have always been raised Catholic, it is hard for them to accept that. And so anytime we would get like new members to the Adventist church that came from a Catholic church, it was like, wow, because it's hard for them to leave knowing, but it's in their writings, guys. And that's all it took for me. If you're going to say yourself, you changed it, it's not biblical, because there's nowhere in the Bible where it says it. There isn't. I've searched. There is nowhere in the Bible where it says it. We go to heaven, we're going to be worshiping on the Sabbath. Like, I mean, that's what it is, And then I don't remember if it was one of the elders or one of the pastors that said before, even in death, Jesus kept the Sabbath. And I was like, wow, that is powerful. That is powerful. Because I was like, he could have rose the minute he was killed. He could have rose. And to hear that, I was like, wow, that's deep. Even in death, Jesus still set an example for us. That's powerful. That's powerful to me. But yeah, so I'm going to wrap this up. I'm going to add those other links in for you guys. I learned in a religious course that Constantine acknowledged Christianity for political reasons, and they added their rules to keep. Yes. Yes. Yes, they took their paganism and made it into their form of Christianity is what they did. A lot of their statues and stuff of their saints and all this, those are really pagan statues, and they just said, "Oh, that's Saint so and so." You know what I mean? I mean, it's deep. And I remember learning in philosophy class, I think it was my philosophy class, how they would sell deeds to people whose families had passed to say, "Oh, we're going to get your family member into heaven." And that's a whole nother topic I could talk to you guys about. The pastor just spoke about that when I went to church with my mom a couple of weeks ago. He spoke about the state of the dead. And he spoke about, and he, spoke about what really happens when we die, and kind of brought in the whole topic of Halloween and all that kind of stuff. But it was deep. Oh, that was deep. But yeah, and I was like, you can buy deeds to send people to heaven. And even then, I was like, you can't buy no deed to send nobody to heaven. And even though I'm not going to get deep into it, I always question, how do we die and go to heaven? Then if we're all going to heaven, why does Jesus need to come back? I always questioned that deep down, but I was like, okay, that's what they say. We die and go to heaven. But I'm like, so you mean to tell me all these mean, evil people are going to heaven too? Because that's what we say at every funeral. No matter what the person has done in life, we say they're with the Lord now. You know what I mean? And so I always question that, because I'm like, then there's no need for Jesus to return. Like, what's the point? Doesn't make any sense. But yeah, we'll talk about that another time. But I will add the links. Thank you guys. Like I said, please read for yourselves. Don't take my word for anything. Read for yourselves. And the Bible says there's nothing new under the sun. So a lot of the stuff that was happening back in the biblical times, it's still happening today to a different degree. There's so much distractions that they put out there for us, so we don't know what they're really doing behind the scenes. And part of what they've been doing behind the scenes is brewing up this Sunday law, and it's coming. And I will talk about it a little bit more in another time, but what that Sunday law signifies is very important, because we think we've got all the time in the world to do whatever we want to do, and we're still going to go to heaven. And I think that's probably why people act the way that they do, because they just figure, I'm going to die and go to heaven. But yeah, we will have to get into those discussions as well. But I'm going to get off of here, figure out what I'm going to eat, because I never know. And I will see you guys back here later this week. Maybe I'll get on Thursday if I'm feeling okay. And maybe we'll talk some more. All righty. But I'll see you guys, and y'all have a good evening. Bye-bye. Where's my cursor?